can see on the screen what we have here, right? So, hey, we're gonna have a show. I'm just gonna talk tonight. All right. Yes, yes. All right, as you can see what the thumbnail says, the sagging pants epidemic. The sagging pants epidemic. All right. So now the description and the title says it all. Many years ago, when I was younger, we wore sagging pants. But our sagging pants was more baggy, more room in the legs, slightly longer, and for some people that were of shorter stature, men that are shorter stature, their pants bunched up by the foot. And everybody wore a belt. They wore a belt to represent where they're from, whatever country they're from, whether it's America, Haiti, Jamaica, Trinidad, Tobago, Bahamas, Puerto Rico. It doesn't matter. Plain belt, colored belt, to represent people wore saggy pants, baggy pants. But now it's different. The difference is that a trend that has its beginning behind bars has become mainstream. And for me, going out in the world, just out and about, working, whatever, you see people, young men, and some older men in their 40s and 50s wearing saggy pants. And I started wondering a long time ago, why? Why is it that we have this nonsense happening? Why is it that we see so many men, young men, wearing their pants halfway down their behind or full cheeks exposed, showing their boxers? And you go to the grocery store to buy food, or you go to a fast food restaurant. Now, in a fast food restaurant or any restaurant, there's a certain decorum that you have to have, right? Certain etiquettes that you have to follow. And when you walk in and you see someone with his pants hanging down, it's kind of a repellent in a sense to me on some others when they go to a restaurant and see that. They just want to turn away and go somewhere else. Yes, it's a freedom of speech and it's a freedom of expression. But how much are you going to express yourself? A trend that started in prison has become mainstream. It makes you wonder why. It makes me wonder why. I wondered for a while. Like, why is this ridiculousness now mainstream? And I looked and I searched and I said, you know what? I need to understand this better, because I think a lot of people out there are like me. They want to stop this. back in 2017, I believe a bill was proposed to make saggy pants below the behind or exposing your behind illegal. Sadly enough, that didn't happen, and I understand it's a freedom of speech and a freedom of expression, right? However, some folks have taken this way beyond expectations, my expectation at least, and I bet many others, because I've heard the concerns of men and women. They don't like the fact that when they go out in the world, they have to see this. And this trend started taking hold back in around, I would say, like around 2005. You start seeing a change in the attire. Maybe for me, I started seeing a change in the attire. Maybe it's been sooner, earlier than that, when saggy pants became a thing. I remember, I remember at one point a company came out and they created they created a pants that exposed the boxers, and they patented it. And it was kind of like, why would they patent something like this? They actually got the patent for it. And they were going to go into mass production with it. I don't think it ever caught on, but I do see some remnants of it. I do see some remnants of it. And I noticed that children, younger children, are doing the same thing. So by me looking into it, like, what's causing this to take such a foothold? And I realized, oh, it's the music. It's always the music. And as a music fan, not as much today as I was when I was younger, and maybe like 15 years ago, even 10 years ago. But over the last 10 years or so, maybe up to 15 years, the shift has changed. The shift has changed because what I notice is that the rappers, some would go to prison and spend some time in prison, and some wouldn't go to prison, but they wear their clothes in prison, their pants in prison, to expose their behind. And as some may know, that trend or that exposure that's in prison is to show their availability to doing those kind of behaviors. Because if you're locked up in prison for a very long time, and naturally you're a man or a woman, you have certain desires. And you're going to, at some point, play out on those desires. And just the other day, I was doing something for someone, and a guy in his 30s walked in. Apparently, he lived there, and the woman of the house says to him, "Hey, pull your pants up. Not in this house. Pull your pants up." I guess he's a maybe a short-term renter there, but he prompted to pull his pants up. But then he came back out of the room a few minutes later, and again his pants was below his cheeks. His behind was totally exposed. Not bare skinned exposed, but was exposed. And he came out. I asked him for some help, and he came out to help me. And he's a bigger guy than me in terms of size. But I noticed that even though he's a bigger guy than me in size and kind of like the same height, right? I'm 6'2.5". He's like maybe about 6 foot, maybe 6'1". He was a bit bigger than me, so I'm expecting for him to be stronger than me. So I'm lifting the TV, because it was a TV I was installing for someone, and I'm lifting the TV, and I noticed that he's struggling. So I says to him, "Hey, you're not too strong, are you?" Right? And the woman of the house had to come and help him. So I'm on my side, and two of them are on the other side. And this is a 70-inch TV. So shortly after, the doorbell rang, and she says to him, "Hey, you constantly order food. You're door dashing a lot." He got his food and he sat around the table and he ate the food. He's eating the food actually. So when he was done, I asked him. I said, "Hey, may I ask you a question?" And he said, "Sure." I said, "Do you know where that trend came from?" And he says he's heard that it came from prison. I said, "It absolutely started in prison. Let me tell you about someone I knew that went to prison." And I started explaining to him. And he says, "Oh, he doesn't rock that way." Right? He doesn't rock that way. And he has homeboys in prison for 15 years, and he's sure that they don't rock that way. I say, "You're absolutely not sure. They won't tell you. They absolutely will not tell you if they rock that way." I said to him, I had a conversation with someone, and that person was in prison for about 15 years. And he told me that he had someone going on his knees. And I'm like, "What you mean?" He was like, "You know what I'm talking about, right?" I said, "So then you are gay?" And he was like, "No, he's not married. This guy is married, right? But he say that's all he got done. But who's to say?" So I said, "Hey, listen, that behavior happens in prison. Let me tell you about the guy that I knew. I know a guy, and when we were younger, I used to have conversation with him about behaving and not being, trying to be a gangster. He was a hardcore dude. Yeah, he would he would pull out on you and cock his piece back on you, and without a second thought put one in you, right? He's that type of a guy, right? Always had weapons around. And he went off and did some robbery, and he got arrested. He was first put in jail for a short period of time because it was his first offense. And not too long after coming out, I think he was locked away for like 3 months. He wasn't yet 18, he was 17, so he went to juvie. And he came back out. And not too long after that, I'm like, yo, you have to slow down. He can't touch me right now, you know. But for protecting his privacy, I won't mention his name. He went out with a group of guys, and did armed robbery, right? And I believe they hurt someone during that robbery, and a bunch of them got arrested and they're currently still in prison, right? This particular guy, in his first offense, he got arrested and he got locked away for he got sentenced to 3 years. And he spent 2.5 years or so in there. But when he came out, there was a shift in his behavior. And I was like, hey, I'm just going to call him L, just because that's what his name started with. I'm like, L, what's wrong, man? Why are you this way? Why are you so now quiet and reserved and don't talk? Right? And he was like, I don't want to talk about it. So one day, I was looking for my brother, my little brother, and I thought he was over at L's house. So I went over there. My little brother wasn't there, but I saw, well, L's sister let me in the house. And so I went to the backyard and I saw him sitting on his car. But before I stepped out, I was kind of like observing him, just taking a look at him. And I noticed that he was just sitting there crying. Tears just running down his cheeks, his face. So I said cheeks, I mean, his face. I'm not talking about his behind at this point, right? And he's just there shaking his head and just crying. So I walked out and I said, L, what's wrong, man? He was like, what you doing here? What are you doing here? Who let you in? I'm like, your sister let me in. And he started wiping his face. I'm like, what's wrong, man? Why don't you talk about it? He's like, I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it. Okay. That being said, he and I got in some spat a little bit while after over a girl that he liked that liked me. And he actually punched me in the face. He punched me in the face because she liked me, he wanted her, and she didn't want to talk to him. But her sister liked him. So he was kind of like trying to, get with the sister. But it didn't turn out entirely in his favor, right? Because he was still trying to be a gangster. And he was trying to rough her up. So I'm like, yo, chill. And he just turned around, decked me in the face. And I was kind of shocked because I was sitting in the car. The chick was beside me. Her sister was right in front of her. And I was behind him when he turned around and punched me in the face. So at that moment, I thought, okay, if I got out and did something, this is going to escalate in a war. And it's a war that one of us might not end up alive. And I was prepared for it. 100% I was prepared for it because I know his character. So if I'd gotten out of the car in anger, he would have gotten out of the car and went right across the street to his house, and he would have got his piece and came back out. Because let me tell you a story. That same guy, L, when I was 19, I spoke to my younger brother to stay away from him. And my younger brother went and told him, and he didn't like it. And because he didn't like it, he came and put a gun right to my temple and cocked the hammer back and say, repeat what you said. Say it. And I looked at my brother, and my brother was just laughing. And he said, say it, and it will be the last thing you say. And at that moment, I knew that if I just breathed, I would have been a goner. That being said, about a week, maybe a week and a half or so after, they went out to that robbery I mentioned about before and got sentenced because now he had a first offense, a second offense, and now this was his third offense. He got sentenced to life in prison. And at some point after, I started learning that I learned of what happened to him. And I learned that he got taken down in prison by a couple of guys. Wrap your head around that if you understand what I'm saying. I don't want to necessarily say the word, but his manhood got taken from him. So that's why he was always crying. That's why he was always crying. Now, I got to find out now from that, doing my investigation, that in prison, men in prison would wear their clothes, wear their pants just below their belt line, halfway down on their butt cheeks, or fully down on their butt cheeks. Depends on where it feels comfortable for them. And that's how they would advertise that they are what is called a bottom, right? And they would be taking it up the wazoo, right? And when I see rappers on stage performing, a long time ago, but it's become more, like I said, prevalent over the last 15 years. It could have been longer. I realized that this trend that started in prison expanded through music. And it was first mostly so in the United States. And then I started noticing that men in other countries are doing it. I've heard that some of the biggest gangsters, right, that wear their pants down below their asses are the biggest, do I really want to say it? Right? They are really in that lifestyle. Really in that lifestyle. Hardcore gangsters are really in that lifestyle. And when I say that they will defend their lifestyle and their gangster mentality to the fullest. So I've seen videos and I've been told from firsthand experience of family member seeing it, going to the islands and actually seeing it, right? Where a group of guys, tight, skinny jeans, barely can pull up over their hips and their asses are out. Their behinds are exposed, strapped up with weapons, popping off all the time. Go out and doing criminalistic things, whether it's robbing and stealing or whatever else they do, pushing weight, if you know what I mean. And they are really defending that lifestyle. Like you can see what the thumbnail says. The sagging pants pandemic. When America sneezes, everybody else catches a cold. So if it's done in America and it's perpetuated in America, the islands are going to pick up that behavior. The islands are going to pick up the behavior. They're going to pick it up in Africa. They're going to pick it up in other countries. All right. I don't know which country outlawed it, where you cannot wear your pants below your belt, your waistline. Let me pull that up in the meantime and see where it is that actually don't permit that. Give me a second here. So let me move this out of the way. Why is this? Okay, I have to do it like this and move it. Give me a second, guys. I'm trying to, okay. So let me close this. All right. All right, so let me now do a search and tell you exactly where, which country I believe banned sagging pants, and then I'll share the screen. Which country banned sagging pants? Okay, so say, all right, so let me share the screen. Let me show you what I have. All right, so let me actually expand this a little bit bigger too. All right, so let me expand so you can actually see it. I think you should already be able to see it. All right. So, all right. So according to this, it says several states and cities in the United States have banned or considered banning sagging pants, which is a style of wearing pants below the waist, often exposing underwear. It goes on to say states and cities that have banned or considered banning sagging pants includes New Jersey. Wildwood banned sagging pants on its boardwalk in 2013. South Carolina, sagging pants are unlawful in some cities in South Carolina. Louisiana, Terrebonne Parish and Delcambre passed ordinance banning let me make this a little bit smaller so we can read the whole thing. I think it's a little bit too big. Okay, it should be good right here. All right, let me read this again. So let me start from New Jersey. New Jersey, Wildwood banned sagging pants on its boardwalk in 2023. South Carolina, sagging pants are unlawful in some cities, include South Carolina, Louisiana, Terrebonne Parish, and Declanburg passed ordinance banning sagging pants. Trevonport, no, sorry, Shreveport, Louisiana, repealed its ban in 2019 after the ACLU of Louisiana highlighted its discriminatory enforcement against black men. So they're saying it's discriminatory, so that's why they repealed that ban. In Florida, Florida passed a statewide law in 2011 sag, banning sagging pants in public schools. Some cities such as Opelika and Cocoa have also enacted or considered bans. Opelika repealed its ban in 2020 after accusation that it's targeting black men. Georgia, a town in Georgia, Moultrie, banned saggy pants, and other cities like Hampton and Atlanta have considered similar laws. Alabama, some areas in Alabama have banned saggy pants. Mississippi, Hines Community College banned sagging pants, prompting a students' protest. In Illinois, Collinsville has a ban on sagging pants. Let me read this important note. It's important to note these laws are often controversial and have been met with opposition from civil liberties advocates who argue they infringe upon freedom of expression and disproportionately affect minority groups. Some bans have faced legal challenges and have been ruled unconstitutional. The ACLU has criticized these laws, stating that criminalizing how someone wears their clothing is discriminatory and unproductive. The debate surrounding sagging pants laws highlights the tension between freedom of expression, community standard, and concerns about potential discriminatory enforcement. Okay, that's understandable, right? I do understand that. However, it's not just so-called black men that have been wearing their pants sagging. You have singer like Justin Bieber and rockers that wear their pants like that. If you look at the thumbnail, you will see that Justin Bieber is on the thumbnail. Right? He's on the thumbnail. Let's play some music here. Right? What happened? Did it pause? Is it too low? Okay, the music is not playing. All right. Okay, track. Okay, no problem. All right. So let me check something here. Let me go back and check something here and make sure everything is all good. Okay. So the thumbnail, let me pull up this okay. So I will possibly go back. I'm not sure if I will go back and see if any countries have actually banned it, but I'm actually going to take a look at that. You know what? Let me do that right away before I go over to show you. Okay, so let me go back and see which country. Country. Let me see if I see that. if any particular country bans sagging pants. Mhm. I'm seeing states here in the United States. Let me see if country outside of the United States. Which country outside of the USA banned sagging pants? Let me see if that pulled up anything. One country outside of the United States has implemented a ban on sagging pants in the. Okay. Let me share my screen and read this. So, according to this, it says one country outside of the United States, well, the USA, that has implemented a ban on sagging pants is the Gaza Strip. In 2013, Hamas police force initiated a campaign called Pull Up Your Pants. As part of this campaign, young men were seen wearing sagging pants, were stopped by Hamas police, and either given a reprimand or instructed to go home and change their clothing. Let me see if there's anything else. No, so apparently it's only in the Gaza Strip that happened, and of course we know what's going on right now in the Gazas, right? So, uh, so we know what's going on right now over there. Going on. Okay. All right. So let's go back to what I was going to pull up now. All right. So let me show you that it's not necessarily only, as they say, quote unquote, black man that would be targeted for, well, disproportionately targeted might be so. However, you will see that many groups are also, excuse me, wearing their pants saggy. Let me pull this one up, pull this photo up, and I'll show you. So as you can see that, let me move myself over. Come on. Oh, okay, right here. Let me put myself up here. All right. So as you can see, let's visit. Do you see? Sagging pants trend. It's not, it's a trend that has become a pandemic. People in the islands, people in Africa, people in the Asian continent, people in the Muslim continent. I have Jewish friends that I've seen wearing their pants sagging. Muslim I know see their pants. Christians pants sagging. Right? It's a pandemic. And personally, I'm tired of seeing it. Right? So let's go back and show you more. Let's go back and show you more. Let's close this page. So you can see it's not, it's not just what they say. As you can see, it's not just what they say, right? It's everybody that's doing it. Everybody that's doing it. It's everybody doing it. Look at this. Everybody doing it. Do you see? Everybody doing it. Sagging pants is a pandemic. Now, imagine going out with your family and you see a guy bend over to pick up something and his entire behind crack is showing. Like his whole is pretty much half of his behind is butt naked showing. It's disgusting. Just a few days ago, and this is the reason why I'm doing this right now, is because I went somewhere to buy something at a store, and a guy in the store, he dropped something and he bent over and his entire behind was exposed because he had his pants below his behind. So his boxers just slipped down. I almost wanted to vomit. It was disrespectful and despicable to me. Disrespectful and despicable to me to see. We shouldn't be having these kind of ridiculous things going on. Look. Look at this. These are fashion trends where women exposing themselves, right, wearing their clothes, sagging just like men. Do you see it? Do you see it? Right? It's part of our normal culture right now. Right? Do you see it? Look. Look at this. This is ridiculous. A lot of them, men and women, want to live the embodiment of what's happening in prison, but lots of them don't want to go to prison. And some of them, going to prison, it's a badge of honor for them, right? It's a badge of honor. So it's like they're already preparing to go to prison. It's beyond my understanding, beyond my comprehension. But wait, there's more. Let me show you. See? Do you see? That's a fashion trend. I remember earlier I had mentioned about the guy, I think it was two guys that came up with the idea to create a boxer attached to a pants, a jeans pants, and the jeans pants have the belt around it, but it's sagging, and in the boxer, I believe it had a belt around it. Let me see if I can find that picture. Give me a second. So let me pull this up. Let me go back and see if I can find that. Aha, here it goes. All right. So let me go press video.
You know, some people may not want to see your underwear. I'm one of them. Now, despite that bit of advice from a man who is perhaps considered to be the coolest US president ever, young men around the world continue to wear sagging pants. Influenced by artists and musicians like Travis Scott, a young Eminem, Snoop Dogg, Ice-T, and God rest his soul, Tupac Shakur. Now, that Barack Obama quote.
Okay, so I guess I was wrong. Tupac was doing it back in the 90s when I was growing up. Right? So it's been going on for a long time, but then again, Tupac went to prison a couple of times. Right? A lot of these rappers from California and New York, wherever they are from, they've gone to prison. And they themselves have seen some of these stuff in prison, I assume. So they come out dressing that way because that's how they've been dressing in prison. And it's a rebellious dress code. Let's continue.
It was taken from a 2008 MTV interview in which at that time the presidential candidate was being asked about his opinion on all the laws being passed against sagging pants. Seriously, in 2007, the town of Del Cambre, Louisiana passed an indecent exposure ordinance which prohibited intentionally wearing trousers in such a way as to show underwear. In March of 2008, the city of Hahira, Georgia passed a controversial clothing ordinance in the name of public safety that banned citizens from wearing pants that were worn below the waist or showed their undergarments. And not wanting to miss out on the free press, Pagedale, Missouri did the same thing. Now, some people considered this racial profiling. In particular, they felt it would target young male African Americans. On the other hand, if you take a step back and you look at the last few decades, you can see that sagging pants have been worn by men and youth.
Yeah, we don't want to see this. We don't want to see this. Let's skip over here. So as you can see what he's saying, it's been worn by men and youth, right? So we know that it's
whether you're based over in France, Brazil, or the UK. So what's the deal with sagging pants? Why do so based over in France by men and youth around the world, whether you're Latino, whether you're based over in France, Brazil, or the UK. So what's the deal with sagging pants? Why do so many men think it's stylish? I think it's safe to say that there have been few men's fashion trends as vehemently opposed to as sagging trousers. Seriously, not even Crocs or men's Uggs met with billboards campaigning against them. Seriously, Dallas, Texas in 1997 had billboards popping up and asked young people to keep it a secret. In 2010, Brooklyn, New York did the same thing, buying up a bunch of billboards, trying to send a message to the youth that this is a style most people don't appreciate. And let's talk about the negative repercussions. In 2008, Flint, Michigan, the police chief, he basically said if he sees anyone with sagging pants, he's going to arrest them. That being said, his lawyer probably spoke to him afterwards, and realizing the danger there, they just went around issuing legal citations. And you may think celebrities and athletes are immune to the rules and repercussions. Not exactly. In 2010, we had a Japanese snowboarder who was banned from the opening ceremonies because he was dressed inappropriately. Loosened tie, shirt sticking out, and he had sagging pants. Now, gents, I want to be clear. The goal of today's video is not to put anyone down. If you watched more than a few of my videos, you probably picked up on I respect all different styles out there. No, what we want to examine are the psychological effect of style. If you're intentional beyond style is that your clothing speaks for you before you get a chance to open.
100%. Your clothing speaks for you. Your clothing speaks for you, right? If you want to wear a loose jeans and a nice button-down shirt, be my guest. Be my guest. Because a lot of people do it. You'll see people in a loose-fitted jeans and a nice button-down shirt and a jacket, and they go to a business meeting. You'll see this. It's the norm. But what we're seeing is it's the norm for the people that dress like that, but it's unbecoming of how you represent yourself. If you represent yourself like a thug, a gangster, a person that lives the alternative lifestyle in prison, it will display itself to people. People will see you and perceive that. Perception becomes reality. Let's continue.
Your mouth. So if you're intentional and you understand what your clothing is saying and you choose to send that message, then all the more power to you. That being said, I do have a personal opinion and I will share it at the end of the video. So first up, let's get into the history of sagging pants and let's dispel one of the biggest myths out there. That myth is if your pants are sagging in prison or outside, that you are signaling your availability for anal sex. Now, for some of you guys out there, that may not be a bad thing. Hey, who am I to judge? But no, this rumor is not accurate. And most likely it was started by somebody that didn't like the idea of sagging pants and wanted to send a message.
I disagree with that. I disagree with that. I 100% disagree with that. Let me go back. Let me share this. Let me go back so you can see him explaining this. Right? Let me go back.
Out there. That myth is if your pants are sagging in prison or outside, the out into the history. Do have a personal opinion and I will share it at the end of the video. So first up, let's get into the history of sagging pants and let's dispel one of the biggest myths out there. That myth is if your pants are sagging in prison or outside, that you are signaling your availability for anal sex. Now, for some of you guys out there, that may not be a bad thing. Hey, who am I to judge? But no, this rumor is not accurate. And most likely it was started by somebody that didn't like the idea of sagging pants and wanted to send a message to men that weren't interested in that they could be sending mixed signals. In any case, it does get one thing right, and that is that the sagging pants trend did originate in the prison system. As many of you guys know, hopefully from not too much experience, but belts are not allowed in most prisons. Now, the reason is pretty simple. It can be used as a weapon and it can be used to hang yourself. So when prisoners are issued clothes, they're giving something that approximately fits. And when I say approximately, it's probably never going to be too small, but it's almost always going to be a little bit too large. In some cases, very large. And if you lose the elastic or it doesn't have an elastic, all of a sudden you're wearing pants that are sagging because they're too big. So it's safe to say in a population of 1,000 men, we've probably got at least half of them wearing pants that sag on a regular basis. Now, for most people, the association of prison culture with their clothing is not a message they want to send. But
guys, you can now generate videos direct.
Don't want to see that. So based on what he's saying, he's trying to demystify the opinions of people like myself, right? He's trying to say, he's saying that it's not true. But I'm here to tell you that I know people that have explained, yes, what he's saying is true about not wearing belts and not being given belts and the clothes are a bit bigger. Yes, I understand that part. I do understand that part. However, he's not 100% accurate because, well, you can't be 100% accurate. However, what I'm saying is that because I know people that explain that it's a undertone inside a prison, right? It's an undertone inside a prison, and it is not supposed to be really known, right? So with that being said, let me share the screen again.
Rap culture, what we started to see is that people were reclaiming that. They're like, okay, yeah, you're going to pigeonhole me, you're going to throw me in prison. I'm going to bring that look out and I'm going to wear it on the streets. And straight up, I'll be honest, this is where I have to respect the style. They took something that could be viewed as a negative and they flipped it as something, you know what, I'm going to wear that with a badge of honor. Perhaps they did get thrown in prison and it wasn't their fault, or it was the situation they were in. They didn't have a great lawyer and they're coming out and they're saying, you know what, I'm going to use this to make me stronger. And I'm going to send a message. I'm going to have a way of identifying myself with others that I have served my time. I know some of you guys are thinking like, who in their right mind would want to do this? Well, if that's your viewpoint, I respect it, but I encourage you to maybe expand your mind and do a little bit of reading on prison culture, gangs, and the way that they interact with the outside world. Me personally, I've never spent time in prison. I did get arrested twice, spent the night in jail twice, but I do have a number of family members on my dad's side that have spent 10 years locked up. And when you come out of a situation like that, you are a changed person. Oftentimes you have tattoos, you're just not the same person that went in. Some of these guys try to start over. Other ones fall back on old habits or look for connections that they had back in prison that are also, these people are now out. Now, gents, if you're enjoying this video, you like style and history, do me a favor and smash the like button.
All right, so let me flip it over back. Listen, guys. I do think I wish I had someone to call in. I had a few people that was supposed to be on the phone with me, but I guess I did the stream too late. But listen, guys, regardless of dispelling any opinions or any rumor or any misunderstanding or misnomers, sagging pants is just not cool. It's just not cool. A lot of us don't like seeing it. For some, it's okay. I've been told earlier on today that a buddy of mine said that when he puts his pants on and it sags, it's not because he wants it to be that way, his belt is not tight enough. I say, hey, get a belt that fits you and you won't have that problem. He says when he puts his pants on, he's not thinking about what someone may think, but that's just it. Excuse me. Right? I just think that the sagging pants situation is a pandemic and something needs to give. But again, that will violate freedom of expression, and freedom of expression goes hand in hand with freedom of speech. And if we violate that law, that right, there's a saying, give an inch, you give an inch, they'll take a mile. So certain rights, certain inalienable rights can't be impeded on. And if they're impeded on, it will open the door for more rights to be extracted or brushed under the rug. And before you know it, all the rights that we were given to at least consider ourselves as free, even though we're not, they will take those rights away. So I understand what he's saying. I do understand what he's saying. And let me get back to what he's saying, and then I'll wrap it up. All right, so let me screen share again.
Case, sagging pants, for some, are a sign of the tribe, that you are part of the group. It's a reminder of where they came from. And to feed on this, again, throughout the 80s, throughout the 90s, oftentimes these were men from disadvantaged urban backgrounds. They embraced the sagging pants look with the idea that it would convey authenticity and street experience. By the 1990s, sagging pants had become a global.
Oh, wow. So I was way off. My apologies. Sagging pants was around from the 80s during LL Cool J, Run DMC, right? When I was a young teenager, right? 14, 15, 16, 17, right? So sagging pants been around for some time now. I was totally off. I guess I really underestimated the time frame of when sagging pants, because when I wore baggy pants, I didn't wear sagging pants. I wear baggy pants, right? Kind of like big, roomy. But I guess I wasn't paying much attention to how they were wearing their clothes hanging. Maybe I didn't even really concentrate on that as much because I overlooked that. But let's continue.
Phenomenon, especially in the underground, whenever you had hardcore people that were deep into the artist and wanting to emulate the style, the look, all of a sudden sagging pants are being brought to cities like Tokyo, Paris, London, and Berlin. What's the symbolism here? For some people who actually think through this, it is a symbol of counterculture, of resistance against authority. Again, you may not agree with it, but I think in some ways that's the point. In fact, the idea that politicians are putting together legislation that is then telling the police to come in and try to control you is exactly what a lot of these people think they're fighting against. That being said, I know it is a small majority that actually think through this and are trying to stick it to the man. The majority of people that are doing this, they are following a trend. They're trying to identify with a group. They're trying to have street credibility.
Imagine being able to...
All right. Guys, however you wrap this up, however you tie it up, it is still a trend that has gone global. It's a pandemic, and it's one of the worst display of expression, in my opinion. One of the worst display of expression. And let me see something here. One of the worst display of expression. So it's just not cool how and why is it that we always pick up the wrong things? Hold on. Hey, are you still on the road? Okay, all right. I was gonna call you and so you could voice your opinion about the sagging pants. About how long? All right. Call the studio phone. Yes. Okay, cool. Yeah. So, yeah, like I was saying, however you tie this up, wrap it up, it's one of the worst display of attire or expression there is. And you know it's crazy. I have spoken to some women that actually like seeing men just like that. I remember my first time expressing how I had a disdain for it. That was back in 2008 when I started really realizing what was going on. And this chick, right? Uh, she was like, I like it. I like seeing it. But then again, she was a fat chick, so she wasn't really getting any play like that. So that's the way she was able to get her satisfaction because the guys weren't giving her that attention. So when she see the guys and they're behind showing, it's a turn on for her. And but even back then, it wasn't as bad as it is now. It was just sagging halfway, and they still wore belts. Now you see people wearing pants with no belts, and they're walking and using their hands to hold up their pants. Like as you can see here, right? They're using their hands to hold up their pants. They're not in prison. They can simply get a belt and put around their waist. Let's continue. Oh, sorry. Give me a second. Let me back this up for a second. Okay.
Ability. If you know anything about urban clothing culture, you probably know that colors, that particular items, that particular brands, they all send signals of who you are, what you're associated with, and how much money you have. And that takes me to the next point. Let's talk about the companies exploiting this. Now, exploitation is probably a strong word. I'm just going to say these companies are taking advantage, or they did, of the trend. FUBU, Rockaware, Sean John. A lot of these companies actually manufacture jeans that were specifically made to sag. Now, today's video, gents, is sponsored by Vitamin. I'm one of the owners.
Okay. I don't need that. Let's fast forward this. Let's fast forward this. All right, and go back.
Sagging fashion has been in and out since the 1980s. I'm not sure exactly where it's at right now. I haven't gotten any stats on this, but it is something that we see companies come in, especially now, even in high fashion on runways. Anytime they can bring something in that has a great story, something that's counterculture, you know that the fashion crowd, especially if they can make money on it, is going to want to jump in. And when I say make money, yeah, some of these jeans can be thousands of dollars. So all that being said, why did society have such a backlash to this fashion, to this style trend? Part of it is, I would say, stereotypes. When we see a young man who's dark in color and he's dressed in a way that we associate with a thug, in these situations, what do human beings do? They get scared. And what do we do when we get scared? We make irrational judgments. All of a sudden, we start to think that everybody who's sporting the style is dangerous. Anyone that's sporting the style is up to no good. In my mind, this is a classic example of people confusing correlation with causation. I'm sure some of the politicians putting together these laws notice that sagging pants are correlated with crime rates. That doesn't mean that they're linked, though. In fact, there is more likely a third variable that they're not seeing. To make this example even more clear, have you ever noticed when it starts to rain that umbrellas are all over the place? Now, if I was from another planet, I might assume that umbrellas cause rain. But as you know, hopefully that's not the case. No, there is correlation between the two, but there is not a causation. And with that, I want to revisit Barack Obama's original quote. We should be focused on creating jobs, improving our schools, getting health care, dealing with the war in Iraq. Any public official who's worried about sagging pants probably needs to spend some time focusing on real problems out there. And I think that about sums up my views on sagging pants. I think there are bigger problems out there for us to worry about than somebody wearing their pants halfway down. It doesn't bother me that much, but I do normally form a negative opinion about the person. So if you care about your image and presentation, understand that the majority of people...
Look at that. This is what I'm talking about. This. What? Tell me how this really makes sense. How? Is that sagging pants? Is that... That's way past having a sagging pants. It's literally, the pants is literally, the waist of the pants is literally down by his knees. If anything happens, he's just gonna flip and tumble over. Tumble over.
out there aren't going to like this style. And it's that human bias that I worry about for men that enjoy this style, is that they don't realize how many opportunities they're missing in life because they're not presenting themselves as someone that is going to come off as competent, someone that's capable, somebody that is smart, someone that knows how to get the job done and is going to stay out of trouble. A guy wearing sagging pants could be all of that and more. But unfortunately, a style choice is holding him back from becoming the man he knows himself to be. So, what video to watch next? Well, if you want to up your...
All right. Listen, man. It's just a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot to for me, and for folks like me, younger and old, and I've been hearing a lot of young women saying that they're tired. They're tired of seeing. They're tired of seeing it, right? They're tired of seeing it. It's not cool. It's not cool, but this is a part of our culture, right? Sagging pants have gotten so mainstream, and like he's saying, the fashion industry, that they make low-cut jeans for women that goes just right above their beginning of their private area and below their waistline. So it's sitting in that little spot right there, right? Look, let me show you what. For instance, this is a woman wearing a saggy pants. Let me see if I pull it up. Let me see if I pull this up. It's a group of boys wearing sagging pants. That's back in the past. Let me see if I'm able to see. Ah, okay. Look. Why is it not showing? Okay. So it's not giving me. All right, let me come over here. Let me see if it takes me back there. Let me see where this takes me. Same place. Yeah. Ah, let's look at this one. Let's look at this one. Let me pull this up and see if it actually. Let me see where this one. This is not so bad. This one is not so bad. Right? But this is a fashion designer making a pants for a woman that sags. Shows off her underwear. Right? Because they have to make money. Right? So it's what we've come to know and expect. What we have come to know and expect, it's a part of the culture now. They're going to say, deal with it. Deal with it, but it's just ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. Right? It's just ridiculous. We shouldn't have to, if a store owner decide that, hey, you can't come in my store, you can't come in my store with your pants sagging, then it might be discrimination. Then he might be hit with a lawsuit. All right. Let's look at this one. Let me see if it pulls up. Let me see if it pulls up before I share it. Because I want you guys to see what I'm seeing. Let me see if I am able to pull it up. These are women now. Like I said, a cross from male to female, where women are now wearing their pants the same way, showing off their underwear. This is on Instagram. So as you can see, it's a trend that we have to get used to, I guess. It's a trend that we have to get used to. Because, see? Do you see it? It's a trend that we have to get used to. Let's play that again so you can see. See? And when my daughter comes to me and tell me that's how she wants to dress, I'm not happy with it. Right? So she's trying to find herself, and she wants to dress in clothes showing off her underwear. At 16, almost 17. Listen, this is where we are. This is where we are. You know, this is where we are. Right? So, are you ready to have a conversation now?
We just like calling number anyway. All right, yeah.
Yeah, so I've been on for a while. I was hoping to have a few people to have a conversation with. I had like 3 people lined up, but no one, when it was time for me to go on, no one picked up. So, what's your thoughts on the sagging pants? Because I was saying that it has crossed gender. You have women that are sagging their pants the same way, showing off their underwear. They're wearing G-string underwear and droopy pants, showing off their part of their behind and their waistline. They're just really exposed right now, and it says men showing off their behind. Their whole entire ass cheek is out. Going to the grocery store or the restaurant to buy something to eat, and you're literally looking at somebody's ass crack. What's your thoughts?
Well, my thoughts on it is that it's not something that I like. I'm not really a fan. Basically, I just don't find it attractive on a guy. If I see a guy that I like and whatever, that would be a turn off for me. For kids, I can understand that they're trying to follow a trend. It's not cute on them either, but I can understand them trying to follow a trend. But to see a grown man wearing saggy pants, it does not look cute to me. I don't know if other people find it cute, but not to me.
Do you think that there is a cutoff for when you say a grown man, like at a certain age, and in giving more of a finite this breakdown in terms of age, and what's the cutoff? What you think a man?
But I don't know if there is a cutoff. But if you're a grown man, I don't know what the cutoff should be. But if I look at you and you look like a grown man, I feel like that's not cute. I mean, I don't think it's cute on kids either, just to be clear. But I'm just saying that for them, you can understand them trying to follow each other, peer pressure, following a trend. But when a man is a certain age, now that, it's time for them to put away childish things. Yes, for the young boys, it's also wrong because we all know, I don't know, well, I would think that most people know what it means when you're sagging your pants. It's something that started out in the jail.
Right, exactly.
And, it's a homosexual type of move, I guess, you would put it that way,
Right.
to say I'm available. So it's not cute either way, but I just think it's worse in the situation like that.
I brought in a video and I was playing the video where the man was saying he was dispelling the rumor that it started in prison to show the availability of a man that's a homosexual or gay, as they say, and he's saying that's not necessarily true. And I'm like, when I saw that part, I paused the video and was like, no, I know people that went to prison and I personally have told me what they've done because I was curious enough to ask. I was even telling them about, I talked about the guy that I knew that he's married now, but he was in prison for almost 15 years or 15 years. And he had somebody that was going down on him on the regular, right? But he said he never, give it to anybody from the back. But there was someone in there that was pleasuring him. And he doesn't consider himself as being gay. And I'm like, man, that's gay. That's a homosexual behavior. And he was like, no, because I didn't penetrate him, you know. But I was even wrong to think that it started back in 2005 because that's where I can remember. But as he was talking, he was like back in the 80s and the 90s, and I'm thinking like, man, when I was growing up in the 80s and the 90s, that Tupac and Run DMC and LL Cool J and Scott LaRock and a lot of these other rappers and rockers used to wear their pants sagging and below their waist, right? I believe even Aerosmith was wearing their clothes like that too, the rock group, you know. So, but in prison, he was saying in prison, which is true, that you can't wear belts in prison because it becomes a weapon or they can use it to hang themselves. Yes, that's true. That's understandably. However, they do have, to my understanding, strings that tie their pants up. And he did say that the pants can be a bit bigger, right? And that the pants usually droop. And it is a way to show that they are a part of that camaraderie of men that have gone through the same experiences, like a brotherhood. But there's certain parts of it that of what he was saying that I did not gel with because of the conversation that I've had and the person I know that got taken down in prison. You know, I'm not saying the word, you know, the RAP, the wape word, right? He got waped in prison, and it destroyed him, and it eventually went back, and then he became a full-fledged homosexual in prison, right? And I've probably talked about him before. His name started with an L. I just mentioned him as L, but it to me, the sagging pants thing is just not. It's like they say, perception is reality. You're considered a thug, and you're considered the low class in society. And I tell you this much: fashion designers have been making a killing on it. They've been banking on it because they've been making clothes to uplift that trend. But as some people really wear their clothes super ridiculous, like when you see someone wear their pants around their thigh or down by their knee, that's not sagging. That's almost nakedness. Don't you agree?
I agree. I mean, I've never really think I've seen anyone wearing their pants around their ankles or their knees like that, but I've seen where sometimes they're walking wide because they don't want it to fall down, or it's just drooping off their butt, and then you see their underpants, you see their butt, or you see their brief or whatever it is that they're wearing.
Mm-hmm.
To me, it's just it's disgusting to me. But that's just my take on it because everybody might see it differently.
Well, they were trying to pass a law, but they're saying that it's discriminatory and it's against our rights, and that so-called black man will be more targeted, which I can understand that that's typically the case when.
But it's mostly our race that wears it like that. You
No,
might
no.
find a few other. Well, for me, most of what I've seen is our race wearing it like that. I mean, you might find one or two Hispanic guys that has it as well. But I know, like in some schools, some of the schools, they don't tolerate the boys wearing their pants down and their butt.
Yeah, a lot of Caucasians wear their pants like that now. I've pulled up a whole bunch of images and of them just like that. It's it is a pandemic, and that's why the thumbnail says the sagging pants pandemic, because it is permeated across the entire globe. And I mentioned earlier that if America sneezes, the rest of the world catch a flu, which is true. We're talking Japan, China, uh, Saudi Arabia, not Saudi Arabia, they don't allow that, but like over in the Gaza, over in Iran, Iraq, in the islands, Jamaica, the Virgin Islands, Puerto Rico, everywhere, Mexico, everywhere. It's everywhere, everywhere.
Okay.
I pull it up. It's just it's
I don't know. I mean, I don't know if I really haven't been seeing it that much. Unless maybe I'm just not going in the places where it is or looking or whatever. But I don't think I've seen it that much lately. So I don't know if it's still like a big thing as it was before.
yeah, it's everywhere.
I remember at one point it was huge. It's like you can turn and you didn't see somebody wearing their pants hanging down. But I know someone I know someone, right? Well, I do know someone that does.
We know someone if you're talking about that same person.
That does it. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, I actually had a conversation with him earlier on today, and he said when he puts his pants on, he's not thinking about that, that prison thing, or he's just thinking about the fact that he's putting on his pants. And some people, it's cool for some people because that's what makes them feel comfortable.
Hmm.
I guess for us that don't see that making any logical sense, we don't rock with it, right?
I mean, I guess it's just the culture. Like, maybe where we were brought up,
Mm-hmm.
the way we were brought up, where we were brought up. So it's probably just a matter of culture of this stuff.
Yeah. I guess that's it. Let me see if I can get him on the phone and see if he can chime in.
Okay.
Hold on. Yo, are you at home? Can I call you on a three-way? I have Nick's on the phone and on the stream, and get your feedback on kind of like what we were talking about earlier on today. I'm gonna call you on the studio phone while you do that. All right, hold on, Nick. Let me. Um, pull up his number and call him. Oh, come on. Oh, come on. Why are you doing that? Okay, here. All right, so.
Carl speaking, events and venues will help you to plan and promote your perfect
Hey,
happiness.
We're not doing that.
I didn't know this number, sorry.
Okay. Yellow?
Different number?
Yeah, I told you I was going to call you from the studio phone.
Oh, okay.
Nix, are you there?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you went right into Cap. You went right into the promotion thing, huh?
Yeah, that's how I answer the phone for this number.
You sound like a machine gun when you laugh, man, all the time. So, Cap.
Hence the name, you know.
Hey, Ray, Nikki, what's up?
Hey, what's up, Cap?
Yeah, chilling. What's going on? What are we disputing and solving today?
So we're on the stream, and I've been on for a little over an hour now. Let me see how long I've been on. And a few people that was scheduled to be on the stream with me, but they didn't. And Nick was able to get her on the stream. So we were it's about the sagging pants pandemic. So you and I were having a conversation early, and you were saying, I was explaining to you about, the way it came about. And I learned by doing this that I didn't even notice it, that Tupac, Run DMC, LL Cool J, a lot of rappers, used to wear their clothes back like that back in the 80s and the 90s. Right? Big L, a lot of rappers and rockers too. So as a person that wear your pants sagging, what's your take? What's your feedback?
Okay, well, first of all, I'm a very slim guy, right? And I don't like tight pants, right? So I like to be comfortable in my jeans. So I don't try to sag my pants. I don't think it sags, but, if it sags, it sags, but I feel comfortable. So it's more about comfort.
So, but when you're sagging,
when I'm sagging, I'm not like the kids on the street where my shit is on your knees. No, all you see is the top of my my boxes. That's it.
Because when it looks bad, it's just like when you can see that on the underwear.
Yeah, that's crazy. That
and then the crack and the shape of the butt.
So now then so shy. You're gonna have to define the sag, because there's different levels of sag.
It's on the stream. I defined the sag. I pulled it up where we see people where it's below their behinds, or it's down by their knees, or even sometimes down by their ankles. Go ahead.
I don't subscribe
if a person is sagging, and like for example, if a person is sagging and maybe they have it covered up, nobody notices it. Right. That's one thing. But when it's all exposed, like all your
well, I'm more. Yeah, I'm then covered up, so I don't think I'm sagging. So in my head, I don't think I'm sagging.
In your head, but I'm telling you, sag.
Well, now I'll be a little bit more conscious again.
I'm telling you, as your friend, I'm telling you, you're sag sometime where literally, as your friend, I can tell you this: one of your ass cheeks will be showing fully, not your beard behind, not your skin, but your black boxers or whatever you're wearing, and it's like it's usually from being around you, it's usually like I don't know, maybe because you have your phones in your right pocket, your right back pocket and front pocket, that side goes all the way down, and then the left side is.
Well, the sag is maybe the phone or the money or something. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
But
you rich? You have that much money?
sometimes, sometimes not. Well, we are live, so no. So
I mean, I don't think I've noticed it to that extent, but I was
right,
when
that's
you
what
walk,
I'm saying. I think
when you
social
walk, you can
exaggerates.
have that walk, like you're trying to hold
Personally,
your pants, you
I
know?
think social is exaggerating, but I get where that can happen. You know what I'm saying?
Do you know me to exaggerate and not say I'm exaggerating? From all the years you know me.
No, you can exaggerate. You exaggerate and not say you're exaggerating. You do it.
I do?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you for clarifying. I appreciate that, Nikki.
Okay. I guess I've just been scolded.
You've been clarified. Clarified, buddy.
Don't pull out the machine gun laugh on me, Cappy. You might shoot me off of the branch.
All right, so that's the vibe. It's just a vibe. It's from high school still, you know.
Yeah.
And then you have a hip hop culture that you got to deal with.
It's not just the hip hop culture. It's like it's the dancehall culture. It's the Afrobeat culture. Listen, in doing this live stream today and looking up where in the world I've banned sagging pants, the only place outside the United States that I've actually been successful to ban it is over in the Gaza strips.
Yeah, of course. That's a cultural thing.
Right? Now, in Britain and China and Japan and the Caribbeans and Africa and North America, Canada, everybody is sagging. They're sagmania. It's sagnation. You know, and
I mean, sagging, like, you know, it's just like Captain said, it's just defining the sag because some people it's just extreme.
yeah,
That's extreme.
yes, truly extreme.
Extreme side. Some people just.
I mean, yes, if it's a little bit above your waist and you see a little, it's belted, there's a little piece of stuff pushing up. I mean, I still don't need to see all of that, but it's not as bad as you say, like somebody's butt cheek shaping out in their underpants. It's just not cute.
Right, I agree.
They might think it's cute, but it ain't cute.
It ain't cute. It's not cute.
It's just like I said, you know, like I was, talking to one of my friends and we were saying about saying saggy pants, and I'm saying that, like, a girl wear a mini skirt, and every minute you're pulling down the mini skirt because it keeps riding up, right? Why put on the mini skirt? If you know you're going to have to keep pulling up the pants, why put it on? Or put in a belt. Put on the belt.
You know, I've never looked at it from the female point of view. I've always said, why then wear such a short skirt, right? And I've probably looked at it like how you just looked at it, right? Like, but in my own eyes, I don't necessarily see that I'm even sagging. I'm just it's more loose or comfortable.
I mean, I know
like
that
I said,
people
those guys
that
exaggerating on the sag, but you know, hip hop
back in the day,
sag.
people like to wear, well, I won't say back in the day, because some people still do it. You have the guys that like to wear the skinny jeans, right? And then you have the one that like to wear big jeans. But you can wear the big jeans and put a belt in it if it's too big for your waist or something. Like, you can still wear big jeans and it still look cool.
Right. But if you look at hip hop or reggae or dancehall, I mean that's the energy. It's not the new hip hop energy. If you're looking at 90s dancehall or hip hop, 90s hip hop, or it's not. It's the sag levels. The sag levels went as the generation went. You know what I mean?
Yeah, as the generations became more deplorable.
Deplorable. I don't know if it's deplorable.
It's deplorable, man. Because think about it. Back when we were younger, and someone wears sag, our sag was baggy jeans and right. But even with the rappers that they had belts on, their sag didn't pass their hip.
Right.
Now these sags.
Depends on the person.
What you said?
I said it just depend on the purpose. Like if I go like a while ago while you were talking and I went on Google.
Mm-hmm.
So you were talking about the rappers like Run DMC and them.
Mm-hmm.
And so I typed in rappers sagging pants, and a few people came up. Like Justin Bieber had a situation with that, where it come like it was falling off, just falling off of him.
But Justin is considered
there was
the new
another
sag.
guy.
Justin.
Then there's this other TikTok video saying the rapper that was sagging with this it's all the way underneath his butt. Then you had 50 Cent on a different style, but 50 Cent sag was a whole different sag than these other sags.
Right.
So yeah, it probably does have something to do with from a cultural point of view. And there's this guy here, Lil B, a rapper on stage. There's a picture of this guy with the front. He's showing his front area where the pants is sagging, and you can see his thing puffing out.
Tell me his name. Tell me his name.
It says a Lil B rapper on stage, but it looks like they're selling it's something that they're selling on eBay. It's eBay in stock.
Little B rapper.
But yeah, but his thing is showing. His thing is showing in front of him. It's like no.
Here's the real question then. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
There's a comfort level, and then there's a try to get your attention level. And then there's an explicit level.
Right.
Right? And then there's like a ho-ho level. Like she's literally, or he's literally doing what she just said, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the question is, how do you know who's doing what when? Suppose I'm sagging, I don't even know I'm sagging, and it's just like, yo, it's comfort. You know what I mean? The girl, she got her skirt on, and it's just a little short. She didn't know that when she bend over, it's going to go there. You know what I'm saying?
Maybe she didn't know. Maybe she did know. But, or, she didn't know that. Well, maybe
she
there's a
couldn't wear anything else.
possibility.
Maybe she didn't have any more wardrobe. Maybe this was the outfit that was the only thing she had. And, all right, she was going to risk a peep.
Or maybe she just wanted to feel cute. And she didn't know that she was going to be riding up.
That's what I said. The cute part don't necessarily mean she wanted to expose the parts, right?
I mean, yeah, I understand what you're saying.
But the dress itself is just a little malfunctioning, but only at certain times. But she thinks she can get away with it. You get me? And then have it. Because you have this dress, I'm thinking if your neurological system think that you fit in this dress from when you were whatever age, and now you're this big and you're not that age, but you can fit in this dress, you're going to try. Maybe you saw her on that one day that she tried, and she never tried again after that because it was the problem.
Yeah, or maybe it's the fact where the person probably... Yeah, they probably didn't know that they bought a cute skirt or whatever. They didn't know it was going to be riding up that much. There's a possibility. You see me, I get the girl them only for excuse.
Yeah. You always do that. Your excuse God for the girls.
Excuse God, I love that one. Excuse God for the girls. No man,
you're gonna turn that one.
For the girls. How you mean? Boom, pop.
You're going to turn that one into a song.
I have to give thanks for the girls. I mean?
Excuse God for the girls.
You said that flip? You said that flip a while ago? You said I am the excuse God for the girls, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to say, no. We not excuse God for no girl. We have to give thanks for the girls. Took you a while to get that one. But you would have caught it.
Nah, I wasn't paying attention to that. You know, you're flipping the script because you know you're always trying to flip the script back on me when I talk about the deplorableness of certain behaviors that woman.
All right, let's talk about deplorable. What do you consider deplorable?
Okay, so anything that is considered way beyond the norm, way beyond acceptable, is deplorable. There's something that's palpable.
Give me an example.
Palpable.
Give me an example of a deplorable.
Okay, since we're talking about sagging pants, I recently went in a store this past week.
All right.
And not this week that we're in, past week. And I went to buy something. And there was a guy, and he's just in front of me where I was heading to pick up the stuff off the shelf. Right? This store starts with a P. I'm not going to mention the full name, but the color is green. Something fell out of his hand.
Come on, if you say that, people already know what that is.
But I'm not saying it.
You didn't have to me mention the just their store.
Okay, so something fell out of his hand, and he bent over to pick it up. His pants was already just below his ass cheek, right? And he had his boxers on. But I was like 2 people behind him. But by the time I got closer to him, the thing fell out of his hand and he bent over. And because his pants was below his ass cheek, it just pulled his boxers down. So I'm walking right into bare ass crap. All right. That's deplorable.
That's deplorable?
That's deplorable.
Well, 2 things. You never have to look.
Cap, he was right in front of me. It was right in front of me. There was no left for me to go, and there was no right for me to go. He's right in the aisle in front of me. What?
I'm gonna make an excuse for the youth.
You gonna make an excuse for him?
Yeah, you ready?
Go ahead.
All right. He ran out the house. His belt is in the laundry, and he had to get whatever he had to get at the store. It was a quick run. He didn't expect to have to do bend over things.
Cap.
Is that deplorable?
Cap. You are ridiculous right now.
Okay.
You are ridiculous.
Listen,
right now.
I remember one time, a long time, well, I don't know if I should share this publicly like that. But I remember in my younger days, you know, going home on vacation. And I was at the airport with all this extra luggage. And I had on my cute, slim fit jeans, tight up blouse. The blouse wasn't like belly skin, but you know, suck on blouse, tight jeans. And I was, you know, on
feeling
my way
yourself. You were
home
feeling
from
yourself.
vacation. Yeah. When I got to the airport to get to the counter to check in, they weighed the bag, so the bag was overweight. So they said I'm going to have to pay for the overweight luggage. So here I am on the side, everybody in the line, because back in the day, not like now where you could do self-check-in and stuff, you go to the counter, you check in. So here I am now on the side while everybody waits in the line. This place is crowded. And I had to bend down to unpack stuff, put in this extra bag. And here it is now, I'm bending down and my pants rolling down. And I'm conscious that my underwear probably is showing. I didn't have one song because, you know, that's not something that I'm into. But, you know, you're conscious that your underwear is showing because there it is, you're bending down, the pants is kind of tight. You know, so I'm not saying if it's something like that. I mean, but that's something that's possible that, you know, I think it could happen.
Nikki, that was deplorable.
I mean, accidents do happen.
See that? That's all I say. We don't know which day we are see the youth or the girl. We don't know what they on. You know what I'm saying? Now, if we see her tomorrow and she not the
But the
same,
girl thing was just an example to compare to the boy.
I know, but
But
what
I'm
I'm saying
just
is,
saying that in this case, yes, I can understand that maybe it could be, something he planned. It just
Right.
happened.
It's a
Right.
normal thing for a person like that, though, to be wearing his pants. He was comfortable walking around the store with the groceries in his hand, right, with his pants. He was comfortable. He just didn't
Yeah, but
expect that.
about him bending over,
No, because
maybe
something
that wasn't part
fell.
of the plan. Exactly.
Something
so it wasn't
fell.
like a part of the plan.
right,
There's just the fact that it fell and he had to do it, and then sadly enough, you were right there.
It sucks. I get it, because I wouldn't want to see that. But he's not deplorable. He's just a kid that's lost his way.
No, he wasn't a kid.
Maybe, all right. Maybe the sight was a deplorable sight.
Yeah, it was a deplorable sight. But he wasn't a kid. This was a man. He looked like he was at least in his late 30s, because he already had started having gray in his beard.
Okay. So again, we don't know what his circumstances are. Maybe he just came out of a sickness. Maybe he just got out of the hospital. We don't know, kid.
Kevin, we can make all the excuse. We don't know. He came out of the house like that. He came out of the house with the intention to dress like that. I think so.
That was a conscious decision.
Listen,
I think most of people that dress like that, they dress like that.
I'm defending they've done that accidentally or
Cappy,
incrementally.
Yeah, maybe the bending over because something fell, that's understandable, that's probably accidental, but the child that he dressed and came out of the house like that, I don't think that was accidental.
Yeah, I get that. Because here's what I'm hearing Soshai saying, right?
Mm-hmm.
Your dressing can be deplorable. Now, what's deplorable?
It can be.
What is deplorable? How do you define that? What's the definition?
All right, listen this. I don't know if you. I'm gonna play this video.
No. Let's define deplorable.
Hold on. Relax. Let's relax. I'm running this show right now. Just relax. Okay. Give me a second. I don't know if you can hear.
I hear that street dudes.
Can you hear this?
This is why I tell all the young guys out here that street dudes,
No.
pull your pants up.
You can't hear
Not
that?
only
I can't hear nothing.
I tell all the young guys out here that street dudes.
Neither one of you can hear it?
I don't even hear Nikki anymore. Me here, I know.
Okay, let me play it.
I mean, I can hear both
Pull
of you,
your
but I
pants
can't
up.
hear whatever you're playing.
Not only you gotta have your pants up to get away from the cops when they chasing you, but also when you go to the joint, you invite another man
on the airtime is never
to
good.
approach you.
So,
and
should we define deplorable in the meantime?
All right, let me look up the technical term, the dictionary term of deplorable, because you want to define it. So let's define it, Caps. Let's define it.
And let's find out what were we using that word deplorable for? You said what about deplorables? Hillary Clinton used those words.
I know what deplorable means, so I'm gonna pull it.
No, what it mean. That's what I asked you. What it mean?
That's why I'm pulling it up for you to tell you. You have to allow me to pull it up and explain. I can't walk backwards and forward at the same time.
Walk forward.
All right, thank you. So, deplorable, deserving a strong condemnation. The deplorable condition in which most prisoners are held. Right? Synonyms are similar words. Disgraceful, shameful, dishonorable, disreputable, credible.
Could they give a better definition of, is there a more like 5-year-old definition of deplorable?
Are you 5 years old?
I would like a 5-year-old definition.
Okay, what does disgraceful mean,
deplorable.
Cappy?
Huh?
What does disgraceful mean?
Shame.
Okay, what does shame mean?
What does shame mean?
Mm-hmm. All right, let me break it down for you like a 5-year-old, right?
It's
You
for
ready?
sure your face because you do something wrong.
What?
Or you feel like you do something wrong. That's the feeling of it.
Deplorable or disgraceful or shameful or dishonorable. Let me explain. Are you a 5-year-old? Okay, I'm going to explain like a 5-year-old. You say break it down like a 5-year-old. When you do something that you know that is embarrassing, that you wouldn't want anyone else to know that you did, that if anyone knows that you did it, you will feel like you want to go in a corner and hide yourself away for a long time. In some cases, it makes you feel like you want to run away or hurt yourself because it's so shameful you can't get away from it. That's what shamefulness or deplorable is.
Okay, so stop. That leads me into a couple of questions.
Okay.
You ready?
I was ready since yesterday.
One, if it's about that person's feelings, if the person doing it has no feelings of that sort, then it is not deplorable.
How is it
It may
not
be
deplorable?
for you, but you're shameful for the next person.
No, I'm not shameful for the next person.
But if it's not deplorable for the person that shames and he feels like he want to go in a hole, then it shouldn't be deplorable to you.
You tell me how, if it doesn't feel deplorable to him, it shouldn't feel deplorable to me.
Because you just defined it as him feeling or she feeling like they want to go in a hole. Like they did something so crazy that they got to go in a hole to hide away from people, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
But obviously, they don't feel shame.
So because they don't feel shame and I see something that
that you're judging that you should feel, that they should feel shame, right? You're judging their actions as deplorable.
Their morality, their morale.
Yes, you're judging their morality in a sense then.
Okay,
and
all right.
Then,
let's use this as an example, using the same guy from last week. No, you know what? I'm not even going to do that. I'm going to use you for an example. You, me, and Nick.
Nobody use me because we're on live.
No. Cap. Please.
Nobody use me.
Cap. The three of us in a car together. Going somewhere. And you farted.
Okay.
And the car is stink. And we wind on the window and say, oh man, I can't believe you did that. And you say, I couldn't stop it, it just came out. And we say, get out of the car, man. Get out of the car. You stink. Did we hear when you fart? Or we smell when you fart?
No.
We smell it. And after we smell it, you fart, we don't want you to get out of the car because we think you're going to fart again. Even though that's out of your control. So
then, is farting deplorable?
This is the type of conversation where you start getting ridiculous. You go off in a rabbit hole where one question is answered.
Nikki.
Yeah.
Right? Now you bring it up, but I might give the example, dog.
Just give me the example, but I don't know if you'd ask the question if it's deplorable. I mean, it would be deplorable because it depends.
Hello, you asked her a question, Cap. Allow her to answer.
Let me make her talk, boy.
Yeah.
You're in the car and you fart, and when you fart, you might be laughing at it thinking it's okay, but the people in the car find it disgusting because maybe it's really stink depending on what you ate, right? So yeah, it could be deplorable for the persons that are smelling it. But you might be there laughing at it like you think it's funny when we find it disgusting. So
deplorable again is in the eye of the ball.
All right. I would say, all right, for example, if you're going to a situation, like for example, say you go to a nursing home, just an example here.
Mm-hmm.
And when you go in a nursing home, the people that are living there, their beds are not cleaned, the place smells funky, the place has a lot of litter and it's dirty. That's deplorable, right? It's dirty, it's disgusting. And the people that are working, the people that own the place are working there, is that they don't find it deplorable. That just because they didn't find it doesn't mean it isn't deplorable, right? We don't know the reason why it might be like that. Maybe they're understaffed. Maybe they just don't care.
Okay, so there's a social standard of deplorable levels, like clean and dirty. You could say this is neat, but not clean. Or you could say this is dirty, but not neat. Or neat, but dirty.
Okay, let me chime in and give you an example using what Nikki says as reference. If you have a house and the house is dirty, but you're comfortable there, and you can come and go and don't sweep or clean up or straighten up, you're comfortable. You come home, you go to sleep, you wake up, you take a shower. If you take a shower, you get ready, brush your teeth, if you brush your teeth, and you leave and you go home. I mean, you go out on the road and you come back in same routine next day. But then somebody needs to come by, and they have to come by because you can't avoid them from coming by. And they have to come in the house. And the first thing you start doing is moving stuff out of the way and saying, "I'm sorry, man. I'm not like this. I'm just going through a rough time." And you're moving stuff out of the way and say, "Excuse the mess." You in yourself know that that's deplorable. So that's why you're saying, "Excuse me, man," and moving stuff out of the way. I'm not like this, because your conscience is telling you that that's disgraceful. That's deplorable. Or else it wouldn't even bother you. Is that a good example?
Yes.
Okay. I hope that answers your question.
It does. It does. Now, what were we saying about the deplorables?
Because I'm telling you, you are something else, Cap. You are something else.
5-year-old. I understood it like a 5-year-old. There you go. I love it. There you go.
Yes.
Now we can have a conversation about what do you feel deplorables is. So we're not on the different pages.
No, we already clarified the deplorable, Cappy.
No, deplorable sometimes whenever it's used in society, or whenever I hear it, I should say, it's very harsh and it's very negative to attack people with. Maybe in the spiritual realm or in Christianity, there are always these deplorables, or it sounds like when the colonialism, deplorables, you know what I mean? So I got to define it properly.
But Cappy, how other way can I define it?
What are you talking about deplorables? You're using deplorables as if it's like, you're saying the deplorables as if it's like a noun,
it's even morally wrong or something, you know what I mean? But reality, it's more their consciousness of where they are and then how, or whatever it is that's happening that's creating that quote unquote deplorableness. So the question is, what are their standards, and then what are their intentions? Like, you have to dress for an occasion. For instance, when they hit the road, right? You with me so far?
Mm-hmm.
Let's two examples. A guy that hit the road as a businessman, he's going into Wall Street. He got his suit on, right? Yeah?
Mm-hmm. I'm listening.
Sharp. He got his suitcase. He got all of that. Boom. Thug on the street or someone trying to fit in on the street, but they might not necessarily be thugs, right? Needs to have his suit on too. You get me?
Mm-hmm.
So depending on the neighborhood, that might be a suit in a sense. Maybe he's at work. But again, that's just an observation I mean.
Cappy, Nikki just said to you a while ago that you're using deplorable as a noun. And this is why you're not understanding it. You have to understand that the word deplorable is an adjective.
It's
right?
a description.
It's a description.
Right.
Exactly.
It's not a thing. It's not a thing, person, place, or thing.
No, it's not like you're saying.
But I was looking at it like, you know, when the religious people say it, deplorables, pretty disgusting. You know what I mean?
It's a
you look down on people. You're looking down on people.
If they say if you're using religious people as an example, and you're saying the deplorables, it's not a noun. You are using it as a noun, like it's a people, place, or thing. It's an adjective. It's a description.
Okay.
Like a verb is an action. Deplorable is not an action. It's a.
But it feels judgmental, like you're judging their soul with it. That's what I want to say.
You know, Cappy, you live in a world of where you think I'm not being judgmental right now, Cappy. I'm being observational.
Okay.
You live in a world in your head where you think that words that are descriptive of a certain behavior or a certain way is judgmental. And because it appears judgmental, it should not be used. In order for people, hold on. In order for people to change, they need to be shamed. Because if they're not, if they're not shamed, they will keep up the same way regardless.
Okay.
Let me use an example. If a person does something wrong that offends you, Cappy, and you tell the person that, hey, I don't like that, don't do it again, you are essentially shaming the person, but not in a crude way. You're saying, I don't like that, don't do it again. There's another way you could say, hey, I don't appreciate that, please not do it again. That's different by saying, I don't like that, don't do it again. That's shaming the person. But when you're saying, please don't do that again, that's not shaming the person. That's telling them that you don't appreciate what they did because it offends you. Do you understand the difference?
Yeah.
I hope so. Because I 100% know Nikki gets it. Yes or no, Nikki?
Yeah, I got it.
See?
All right, so where were we going with this conversation? Sagging.
You went off. You went off because we were talking about sagging pants.
I went into the deepness of it. Sorry.
Yeah. You wanted to find out if it was this or that and breaking it down. And Nikki told it's not a noun, so I had to explain it's an adjective. And she told it's a description, and I had to clarify the description and how it's used. And so we're now crawling back up out of the rabbit hole.
Okay, let's get out the rabbit hole. Sagging pants. So again, style. And I was saying that, you could dress for the occasion. Sometimes you got to dress hip hop. Sometimes you got to dress business. Sometimes you got to dress street. Sometimes you got to get, you got to dress for the occasion.
All right, I'm going to give you an example since you used that. And
not only that, you got to dress for the comfort level. Because you don't know what the person got to do to get there. Is he got to walk? Is he got to take the car? Is it a bus? All sorts of stuff. So you don't know what the dressing level.
You're always making excuses for bullshit. Let me give you an example. I was in the office the other day doing an assignment, right?
Yeah.
And a person, this guy walked in, young guy, looked like he's about 25. He came to look for a job, right? A job,
Right.
Cappy, right? Because the people are hiring. He walked in. He had a dress shirt on, long sleeve, and his pants was sagging about a halfway down his ass cheek. The woman looked at him. There's a sign on the door that says we're hiring, and she looked at him and says, "You came for a job?" He says, "Yes." She said, "I'm sorry, we're full. We're not hiring anymore." Right? This is a Latina woman and a Latino guy. He walked outside and got in his car and drove off. She looked at me and shook her head and said, "He came for a job like that?" I said to her, "I guess so." This was last week. This happened.
Well, you have to dress for the occasion. I agree with you on that.
Okay, you just said that. You have to dress for the occasion. You have you have to dress business, and you have to dress for the comfortability, because you don't know if a person have to walk, drive, or take a bus.
That's pretty good memory. I didn't even remember that. Sorry, go on. Yeah, go on.
Right? So that guy came in for a job, dressing like he's going to a club. He didn't get in a bus. He didn't go to the bus stop. The only place he walked from was probably his front door to the car, and from the car to the office. And because of how he was dressed, he did not get the job. And the job was still available.
Sneakers or shoes?
Cappy,
Which he had on, sneakers or shoes?
what difference does it make, Cappy?
Let me ask. Let me just hear. Part of the outfit, right?
He had on a dress shoes, Cappy.
Dress shoes, okay.
He had on dress shoes, a dress shirt, but his pants was sagging halfway down his ass cheek.
I think she made a mistake.
How did she make a mistake? He was standing right in front of her and right in front of me. I was to the side of the desk, and he was standing right in front of her, and she was sitting around the desk.
Can I tell you how she made a mistake?
Go ahead.
Okay. First of all, he came to get the job.
Uh-huh.
One, he dressed almost for the occasion. He might be me in terms of maybe he don't even know he's sagging.
Oh, my gosh.
So then she could have been like, if this is a position that he's actually really good at, she didn't even find out. She don't know what his talent is, what his skill ability is, nothing.
Cappy, what's the color of your skin?
Cappy, that's not how life works. You and I, we grew, well, I don't know where you grew up, but from our culture, where we learn in school or anywhere, even in college, they teach you these things, that there's a certain way, there's a time and a place for everything. There's a certain way you dress when you're going on a job interview. There's a certain way, even if
let's ask the levels of SAG. What was the levels of SAG, So Shy?
It doesn't matter.
I just told you,
if you're
Cappy.
going to go find a job, it doesn't matter what level of SAG it was. This is a job.
Right, but we
you
still
know,
have to
in some
define
sense
the
of the
level.
word, in some sense of the word, maybe some of these young people, they don't know any better. Nobody's teaching them the right things. You know, I've been to job fairs where I see people come in there with their everyday outfit, a little short of skirt or a little tied up, what you call it, those yoga pants looking with just a little t-shirt, just for at a
I love
job
those
fair.
yoga pants looking.
At a job fair, just regular slippers on their feet, flip-flops, walking into the job fair like that. No sleeve shirts with their own tattoos showing, and I mean, I'm not talking like, this is like one of the areas that I went to for this job fair was actually a police department job fair. So you know those government type jobs, they don't play, you know? Because they said first, what is the first appearance?
Perception is
What is it?
reality. The first appearance is a lasting appearance.
Again, I'm gonna agree with both of you guys on appearance and on dressing and on first appearance and everything, right? I might not agree with you guys on deplorable, except I get it.
We
when
passed
you're
deplorable already, Cappy. We weren't talking about deplorable anymore.
Right. So I don't agree with a deplorable as being a description for them.
But we passed deplorable. We're now talking about saggy pants. And I
Right.
explained to you about a guy that came into the job. Look, a guy, a Latino guy.
Oh, so shy. Obviously, it affected his getting that job, right? Because you guys confirmed that was the reason why he didn't get the job.
Yes, that was the reason why he didn't get the job.
Right. So all I'm saying is, I think it goes back to the deplorable thing. We can't judge that they're deplorable until we find out why the hell is your pants sagging and can you pull it up?
Cappy, come on, man.
But Cappy is going for a job. The person doing the interview or the person that's going to hire him, it's not their parents, right?
Right.
It's not a school where they're going to teach them etiquette or how to dress. You come for a job, they want you to be serious. Like, they're looking at how you handle yourself. How can they handle this job?
Fair enough.
How they take it. They're looking at your parent. Okay, if you can't even dress yourself properly for a job, how are you going to do this job? They don't care if you have all the skills. You think they don't care about that? Whether the person is the most equipped for that job. They don't care about all that stuff.
You ever hear the term?
Nowadays, with everything is work from home type of energy.
Cappy, let's not
But
go
we
on.
don't know if this is a work from home job. We don't know that.
It wasn't a work from home job, Cappy.
Okay.
Right? It wasn't a work from
But
home
even
job.
if it was from a work from home, at the same time, you're still going to make a good impression.
Yes. I agree on the good impression. I'm
Yeah,
not
you're
saying
going to be a
don't.
good impression. If you go to the job for an interview, okay, maybe you don't have a suit, but you have something.
What you're telling me is a lot of people or business or applicants are losing out on each other just for dressing.
Oh, come on.
But that's one part of it. That's just not only for dressing, but that's one part of it. That could be one part of it.
Cappy, let me ask you this
I
question.
remember one time one of my cousins said she got a job based on a suit that she was wearing. She said that after she got the job, the lady said to her that I hired you because of the suit you were wearing. There's a lot of stuff factors that people consider. Was it maybe a dumb decision? Maybe not. But it's just the fact that people are looking at your appearance and how you talk and stuff like that in certain scenarios, in certain jobs.
Definitely.
Cappy,
After you get the job and then you go, after you start making friends and you go in and they have their picnic and their gathering or whatever and you want to dress down a little, then, that's totally different. But when you have the job...
Cappy, when you're going to do your events, right? Why do you wear all black and you put on a black jacket? Even if you're wearing a white shoes, why do you clean your shoes if it's a little soil, your sneakers, or if you're going to wear your loafers or anything? Why do you clean them? Even if you don't put on a belt, but you have your pants that you wear is not the normal black pants that you wear. You usually have a special black pants you wear. You're going to do the events, and that's what you carry with your shoes, with your undershirt, and your black jacket. Why do you do that?
To stay fresh.
Okay, let's use another one.
So you do it just to stay fresh? What is it that you're trying to put out there? Why do you dress like that? Why do you try to put out there when you do it? It's not just to stay fresh. You can bathe and you bathe yourself, you put on some deodorant and you feel fresh. But there's other reasons why you put on that suit.
Again, you're dressing for an occasion. So I'm dressing business. I'm dressing for business.
Exactly. So what is the difference between the guy going with his saggy pants to the job interview? Then you going to dress for your business event.
Again, I'm not.
You're trying to represent your company. You're trying to represent your brand, right?
Yourself, yes.
And yourself is your brand. So you're putting yourself, you're setting up yourself in a sort of way to say, okay, this is my brand. This is the way we carry ourselves. We take care of ourselves or whatever. You are your own brand.
I agree with everything you're saying, Nikki. I'm not disagreeing with...
Cappy, you're just trying to what?
I'm not disagree with none. Let me tell you, the only thing is, I don't think they're deplorable. I think what we need to do is have places that we could teach people.
Well, we're not necessarily talking about deplorable right now. We're just saying that. And
I think that person that let that guy go,
Cappy, hold a second.
He could have lost out on a really talented individual.
Cappy, hold a second.
And that might be true, but at the same time, they're looking, when you come and present yourself, they're looking at the brand. The brand.
I love it.
Oh, sorry, stop that, man.
I like that sunshine. That's a nice one. Where's that?
Cappy. I know Nikki was not gonna like that, but that was specifically for you because I don't know what's it not that you don't behave yourself because you know what we're talking about to be sensible and
he knows
logical.
I think Cappy's just playing fool for catch wise. You know what I mean? He knows better. I don't know why he's behaving like that. I think Cappy he knows better.
I just think that they just haven't learned this.
All right, Cappy, you remember that job you had, the marketing job, right? Or that job you had?
Last one, yes. The one that was software sales.
Yes, software
When you had that job, when you went for that interview, how did you dress to go for that interview?
I did dress with a tie and a white shirt, and we did a Zoom.
So what did you have out of the bottom? Underpants?
No.
But you had on a tie and a white shirt for them to see you in that, right?
Yes, because that was going to be the main focus.
Exactly. So why did you put on a white shirt and tie for them? You could put on a little marina shirt, right? Or what they call it, wife beater.
Are some Daisy Dukes?
You know what I like that this is? I'm not mad at dressing, Don't get me wrong, okay? I love the social structure of what you guys are saying, right? But I think I wanted to go a little deeper with I guess your inside reflects your outside. That's what y'all are saying. But I'm wondering if your inside reflects your outside for real. Or is it just...
Hold on.
You're going through shit.
Hold on. You just sounded like you had pizza and vomit in your mouth at the same time.
Jeez.
Because the question that you just asked is redundant.
Yeah.
You want to know if the outside reflect the inside and the inside reflect the outside. What kind of questioning is that?
Well, here's what I was thinking. You ready?
I'm ready. I think we both are.
Okay. There are people that get depressed, right? And then all of a sudden, shit just get out of hand and they become deplorables, right? And then...
Why did you say the word deplorable? You're talking as if deplorable sound like some, hello?
Yeah, I'm listening.
When you said deplorables, Cappy, it sounds like you're talking about like a Disney character or something.
That's what I'm trying to say. That's how bad it sounds to me when y'all say
Where you keep saying deplorables, like the people, we're not saying the people are deplorables. We're saying a situation might be a deplorable situation.
Okay, I feel better about it now.
We're saying their behavior.
Got it.
Not the people, we're not calling the people deplorables.
They be deplorables. I mean, they just don't know. But okay,
You're using it like a noun, and it's not a noun. It's an adjective.
It's a behavior. Okay. The behavior
It's
is
a
what.
behavior, it's a situation.
Not the person. Not the person. Okay.
It's a description.
I finally got it. The behavior is the description.
Not necessarily.
Yeah.
If you go into the situation back with the nursing home and you say the place look away, it's not necessarily the behavior, it's the situation that they're in.
Hold on, Nix. Let me ask Cappy this question. I'm gonna ask the question in a.
Go on.
I'm gonna ask the question in a action form, because I think that's how you're understanding it. And I'm gonna ask it like in a noun form. Try to do them simultaneously. I hope that makes sense. Deplorable is not a people, place, or thing.
Not a person.
It's not a person.
Okay.
Deplorable, you can't say deplorables, because when you say deplorables, you're using it as a description for a person, then you're using it as a noun. It's not a noun. So you can't say deplorables. You say deplorable, because then it becomes a description. Your apartment looks deplorable. Your dress code looks deplorable.
Mm-hmm. Got it. So when Hillary Clinton said the deplorables, she made them into a person, place, and thing, right?
She's using it like a noun, and it's not a noun, it's an adjective.
Okay.
Your apartments look deplorable. It's the way it is.
It's like the Christians don't normally say, hey, we don't hate the person, we hate the sin.
Yes.
Okay.
But then sin, but then you have to look, I understand why you asked that, but then sin is now a verb, because the sin is an action. You understand?
Sin is now a verb.
No, sin is not a noun, it's a verb. When you sin, it's an action.
A sin is a noun.
It's an action.
It's a noun, though.
It's an action.
Sinning is an action. Sin is a noun.
It's one of those word where it can be used in both ways. You sin.
You sin.
Yeah. You sin.
You did a verb. You did a verb in the past. You sinned. You sinning is
a verb.
You're doing.
Right.
You're doing.
Right.
So, anyways, let's wrap this live stream up.
Okay.
What are we saying? Sagging, no sagging. We all agree the sagging should not be as crazy as it is. That I see.
The sagging should stop.
Yeah, the sagging should stop. The crazy sagging should stop.
No, sagging should stop.
90s wasn't bad. I'm not mad at that.
Sagging should stop.
The crazy sagging, yeah, that needs to stop.
Yeah.
You say, Nikki, the pum pum shots need to still wear, right?
Oh boy.
What are you asking me, Cappy?
Now, Oscar is a girl.
Well, yeah, you're asking the wrong person.
Too bad the girls didn't sag and then the guys pull up.
The girls are sagging too, Cappy. It's not
When
just
the
a
girls
man
sagging?
thing.
Me not see the girl them a sag.
You don't see them, but
In fact, I don't like the girls sagging. I rather the tight spandex.
of course, I know why.
Of course, we know why too. But
Yeah. I know why.
Yeah, I don't want the girls sagging. I'd rather them in the tights that they are. Let
Yeah,
them go out with
because it gives you the opportunity to be a peeve.
not a peeve. I mean, I'm peeping what I see, but I'm not mad at it.
I'm mad at it. I'm tired of seeing it.
What?
I'm tired.
Where's my button for press my buttons and me can't make no sound over here?
I am tired of seeing this spandex all up in their ass cheeks. Literally, it separates both. It's like.
Listen, there's two things. As a guy, there's two. You're torn, and we're gonna keep going with this conversation if we keep going. I don't know how long your podcast is, but as a guy, you're torn because one, if you're not connected to none of the girls that you see, or they're just like playthings, then they're just playthings, and you love to see it. But
you love to see it. I don't like to see it.
To see it.
I'm tired of seeing it. I'm over it already.
Well, I'm done. But if it's your girl or your wife or your mom's or your sister or some scenes, you don't want to see it. So the question is,
why you don't want to see it? You don't want to see it because you don't want any other man to look at it. But you want to look at
them thing.
What?
But I don't want nobody else look for them thing.
You want to look at their thing, but you don't want them to look at your thing.
Because now is a balance, right? So now me have to say, wait. Which one do I rather? Would I body covered up, or would I rather seeing some spandex on the road? I don't know. It's a.
So you have your wife at home and you go out and you look for the hoe?
No, I don't.
Yeah.
I don't.
Jesus can't save these hoes. Why are you trying?
What are you talking about? Yo, so shy. That soundtrack there. I said, which one would I use on that one?
What are you talking about?
Soundtrack.
Which soundtrack?
You said Jesus can't save them.
Yes. What, you want to hear it again?
Was I trying to save somebody?
Yes, Cappy. You're trying to save you're trying to save your woman.
Peoples.
You're trying to save your woman from anybody else looking at her while you go out and look at other women.
No, I wouldn't. If I'm a woman, I'm not a part of. But if my
Cappy.
If my seat me, I go look. If my seat me, I go look. But me not go last too long. Me not go last too long though.
Stop the cap.
That's funny.
Yo.
That's funny right there.
Well, guys, listen. Been on the stream for almost 3 hours now.
3 hours?
Yeah, I've been on the stream for almost 3 hours. 2 hours and 45 minutes.
Thanks. You called me and the last part of that.
Yeah. I was going to call you earlier, but I think you had said you were going to do something, so I didn't call you, you know. Plus, you'd have made the conversation more complicated, Cappy, because if I say A, you want me to describe A, and then we go down a rabbit hole with A, and then by the time we come out and we meet B, we have to head back down the rabbit hole to go find C, and then come back up again with D, and that's how you operate, Cappy. It's never ending. You want the letter D, right, is D, and you'd want me to define why D is D.
You can't define that still. Nikki, I'm going to define that. Why is D? Sorry.
Oh, man.
So we all agree, no sagging pants.
No sagging pants.
All right.
No sagging pants.
Well, at least the from the 20s, the 2000s or something. 90s wasn't too bad.
Yeah, it's gotten worse. It has gotten worse. For real, gotten worse.
All right, y'all. So if y'all listening, y'all can go check out my Instagram at Kyapi, KYAPI_music.
And Nix, what's your Instagram? Nix, are you there?
I'm here.
You want to leave your Instagram?
No.
All right. All right, guys, I'm gonna wrap up right now. Nix, where are you charging the car?
Um, I'm home now.
Oh man, where were you charging it?
But I was out west.
Oh, okay, yeah, yeah. Okay, cool, cool, cool. All right, cool. All right, guys, I appreciate your time on this call. You know, I appreciate your time. You guys been a good help in the conversation. I give you a round of applause.
All right. Have a good night.
Have a good night. I'm gonna shut down here and talk to you guys soon.
All right, bye.
All right, bye bye.
Share it, everybody. You never know. You might help a kid get a job.
All right. There's one story I'm gonna share before I shut down, and that's the end it for me. All right, cool. Talk to you guys.
Bye.
All right.
Yeah.
Why I tell all the young guys out here that street dudes, pull your pants up. Not only you gotta have your pants up to get away from the cops when they chasing you, but also when you go to the joint, you inviting another man to approach you and the wrong way. You know what I'm saying? So don't put yourself in the situation being a ninja with your pants down. Because when you go to the joint, used to that, people going to approach you and think you accessible. So pull your pants up. Because when I first seen it, I was shocked that somebody brought this ideology from the penitentiary to the streets, and you young guys around here walking around showing your gluteus maximus. That means your butt. I couldn't believe it that men would sit there and let another man turn around and look at their butt. And I don't understand it, but that was something that they got indoctrinated into society, and they got it changed. So pull your pants up. This is why I tell all the young guys out here that street dude.
Yeah, the most deplorable thing, the most disgraceful thing they brought out of the prison into society. And it's permeated across the globe and has become a pandemic. It is the sagging pants pandemic that all these young folks, male and female, but primarily male, and these young dudes that are called themselves gangsters or whatever else group that they belong to, they are the ones that are wearing their clothes sagging, and they have no respect for the people that is older than them that's telling them that's the wrong way and that's the wrong thing to do. Pull your pants up, please. Please pull your pants up and remember that it's important that perception is reality. So, with that being said, thank you, and always remember to question everything, because if you don't, you may fall for anything think and say. Have a good day.